Hello everyone, welcome to another JavaScript tutorial video. So this time we're going to go over loops in JavaScript. And yeah, so loops allow us to run through iterations of different things. That's really hard to explain. I hope that made sense, but I know it didn't. But yeah, I'll try and write it in some pseudocode. Pseudocode, if you don't know, is actually like code but in English, so we can understand it better. But blah, 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 blah. I'm rambling. Okay, so if we're going to write it out, we could say when as long as variable I is equal or is less than 10, then do this. So this is what a loop can allow us to do. So to do that, we can start by doing a for loop, which is this. So for, and then have our stuff here. So inside the for, the parameters we got to put in here. So we got to make a new variable. So we usually name it I. That's what developers usually use. So let I equal, then put it to 0. And it doesn't have to be I or 0. It can be whatever you want it to be. And then we could say, so this is the declaration. And so behind the declaration, we're going to need a condition basically. So like as long as I is less than 10, then do this, what's in here. But then every time it runs, we want it to go one higher. So it'll start at 0, but then every time this runs, it will go to 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 10 or 9, I think. Let's test it out. So console.log, and then we can put I in here. So it'll display the number. So if we reload here, okay, so if we reload here and inside of our thing and open up the console, we can see that it runs all the way up to 9. And it's not going to run 10 because 9 is less than 10. And then when it generates the I++, which makes it one higher, that's what that's what plus plus means. It means take that variable and make it one higher than it was before. So 10 is obviously not less than 10, so it's not going to display 10. So yeah. So yeah, that's how you do a simple for loop. And yeah, so there's more we can do with this. We can have some numbers here. So let's do const number 1 equals 5. And then we could say in here, we could have an if statement. So every time this is run, it'll check something basically. So we'll actually put it up here. So if I is equal to 5, then console.log that I is equal to 5. Or no, we'll do num1. Okay, let's see if that makes sense. Yep, 5 is equal to 5. So as we're running this, we can see that we're declaring a variable here, and it's running through here starting at 0. And as long as I is less than 10, it'll keep running and keep getting bigger. And then as it's running each time, before it prints out the variable that it's iterating, it checks to see if the variable is equal to 5. So if we go down here to our console, we can see that when it's 5, it'll say 5 is equal to 5, so that's good. But also it says 5 here, so it's kind of repetitive. We may not want that. So to fix that, we use something called continue. So I just use continue right there. And what that does, it goes to the next iteration basically. It stops what it's going to do like futuristically here. I don't know if it made sense. So like it just stops this iteration and goes to the next one. So it'll go to 6 now. So it won't run anything after the continue. So I hope that makes sense. And so yeah. So there's another one that we could do. We could say if let's do if else I is equal to 7. Oops. Then console.log, we don't want this number 7. So that's something kind of random, but again, as you look, it's just checking it every time. So Once it gets to 7, it'll say we don't want this number 7, but it'll also print 7. So what I want to do here is whenever it gets to 7, we just stop it. We want to cancel this whole loop. We don't want it to keep going at all. So to be able to do that, it's kind of like continue, but it's called break, which we did with switch statements. Instead of going to the next one like break did in switch statements, this will just cancel the whole for loop. It won't run anymore. So as you can tell down here, it doesn't run past 7. So it stops at 7. So yeah, it will stop exactly here and it won't run anymore. So yeah, so continue and break you need to know, and they're like very similar but different. Continue will just stop the iteration, but break will stop the whole for loop basically. So yeah, so with for loops you can also mess with arrays here. So let's make an array const fruit equals, let's make some fruit here. I think grape is a fruit. I'm so dumb. And then we have orange. What's another fruit? Is lemon a fruit? I don't even know. Lemon. I'm really not smart. Orange, lemon, tangerine. I love tangerine. I don't know if I spelled it right, but yeah. And one more. Grape, orange, lemon, tangerine, apple. So those are our fruits here. And we can also make for loops with arrays here. So for I is equal to 0, and as long as I is less than, we gotta say here, let I equals, because we're declaring a new variable, so let I equal to 0. So I, whenever it's less than, as long as it's less than the length of this, so fruit.length, and then I plus plus. So let's see what's going on here. So if we remember correctly, if we use an array and then use the .length method here, then this is how big it is basically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how big it is. So we can test that out by doing this console.log I, and it should go to 4 because the length is 5, so it stops at 4, right? Okay. And so yeah, so 0 through 4, and that actually works perfectly because it's an array. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you kind of think a little bit, we can do some cool stuff with this since we have full access to this array. So to show you what I mean, we can do this. We can say console.log fruit and put I here. So every time it runs, it'll just console.log the fruit I0, I1, I2, yeah. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so if you just look down here, well, let's comment this out here. So control / to comment stuff out. But anyway, so if we look down here, it outputs every single one of the fruits that we have in our array, which is pretty awesome because now we can do some pretty cool stuff. So let's do another little check here. And let's put a bad fruit in here. Wait. Let's see here. Let's do some here. We can say const rotten fruit equal to grape because grapes are blah. So if we do a check here, and check and say if let's see, if fruit I is equal to rotten fruit, then execute this, and then we say break. And then inside of here we can say console.log the fruit has been spotted, breaking. So yeah, so right here none of the fruits are displayed because grape is the first one, so it's not going to go any further. So if we go ahead and move this here and do that, so now it displays the other 4 but not the last one, which is grape. So it'll say the rotten fruit has been spotted, breaking, and then it won't display grape because it's breaking. It's not going to go past. It's destroying the whole thingy, the for loop. So again, that's another good piece of code you can do with arrays. And yeah, so let's see here. I'm trying to think of something we can do with continue here. Else, let's do else if fruit I is equal to best fruit. Console.log the best, yummiest fruit has been found. Woo! And the reason that this is down here is because I have it set to wrap, so if we expand this, it's going to be, so it's just trying to save space. But anyway, so console.log continue. So I hope that made sense. Oh, best fruit is not, oh yeah, we didn't declare what best fruit was, so const. Like I said, I like tangerine, so best fruit equals tangerine. Still didn't spell that right, I bet. So orange, lemon, the yummiest fruit has been found. Woo, I'm gonna eat it. And it's not gonna display tangerine because it's continuing. It's not gonna go past. It's gonna cancel the current iteration. And then it goes to grape, and of course it's gonna cancel the whole for loop because it starts to break right here. So none of this is gonna happen anymore. So yeah, and yeah, we can even go further with this with arrays here. So let's get rid of this. So let's move this down here. So an easier way to mess with these loops here is, arrays here and loops. We could use the for each, which is an easier way to do a for loop with an array. Same thing. So fruit.for each, and then we got to pass in a callback function, which is a function you just use to basically just run something inside of a method. I don't really know how to explain it at all, but it's called a callback function, so we have to have it inside of the for each loop. And this is not something you have to do, obviously, because we just did it up here. It's just found to be easier by developers. So console.log, and we pass in fruit. We got to pass in what it is up here. So this is what we're going to be using up here, so fruit. So then it'll display all the fruits. So yeah. So that's how you use for each, basically a little bit. Oh, and also know that fruit, it doesn't have to be fruit here. This is just a parameter, right? So it doesn't have to be named, like, what it's passing in here is automatically assumed because of this. So let me explain here. So this can be whatever you want it to be. So that, like, this is automatically assumed to be this. So this is going to be used throughout. I hope that made a little bit of sense, but yeah. So yeah. So there's another type of loop that we can use. It's called a while loop, which isn't used as much as a for loop, but it is used definitely. So let's comment all this out. And so here we'll have our while loop. So while, and we could say while age is less than 16 or 17, then execute the code in here. And down at the bottom we'll have age plus plus. So it's gonna of course, if we know before that plus plus means it's just gonna add 1 to what we have. So let me show you what I mean. So const age equal to 0. So as long as age is lower than 17, this will run, and then at the end of this running, it'll add it. So the next one would be age equals 1, age equals 2, all that. So yeah. And this can't be a constant, of course, because it's going to be changing, so we got to use that. So sorry if I'm not making that much sense, but I just love loops that much. I can't talk, So console.log age, and then we get all the ages up to 16, because of course 17 is not bigger than 17, so it's going to stop there. And yeah, so that's how you do a basic while loop. But there's another type of while loop called a do while loop. So it's kind of the same thing. So do console.log I'm cool And then at the bottom you have to have the while, which is basically the condition while, oops, not like that. While age is lower than 17 again. So if we comment this out here, so do console.log I'm cool while age is lower than 17. So we'll get cool a whole bunch of times. It's going to be spammed here. So like it's lagging really bad because we're just spamming I'm cool over and over. And so it's like 33,000 right now. It's never going to stop unless your computer just decides to give up on life. So if you, of course, if you don't want to overdo it, we got to just add a I++ down here. So I++. So if we reload, okay, so we got a little error here. I++ is not defined because, yeah, we're using age, not I, of course, so I messed up. So we get I'm cool 17 times. 17. Yeah, and it stops there because age is indeed lower than 17. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense because it's starting at 0, so it's not gonna like go to 17, it's just gonna stop at 16, but it starts at 0, so it's gonna be like this. So it's hard to explain. So 0, 1, 2, all the way up to 16. So including the 0, that'll make it 17 times, if that makes sense, of course. I hope it did. So it works. So do this as long as this, basically. And with a do loop, a do while loop, you can't forget that the do, I didn't tell you this yet actually, but the do has to run at least once. It'll run at least once because this is behind this. So if you want to fix that, of course, just use a regular while loop or a for loop. So yeah. There's something I want to make a little program here, just as another example for the for loop, because I just love for loops that much, and I love arrays that much. So let's comment everything else out, and then we're gonna make another for loop here. No, we're gonna make an array first. So array const what will we call it? Let's call it cars. Const cars equals array. I don't really know cars that much, so Lambo. We'll do the car types actually. So Chevy, Ford. Ford is the best in Texas. Okay, sorry. Chevy, Ford, Toyota, Toyota, Lamborghini. Let's see if I can spell Lamborghini. Lamborghini. Yes, that's of course, that's right. Ferrari. Yeah, I don't know how to spell that one. But so we have some car names here, a little array. Doesn't matter what they say, but we have an array. And I'm gonna make a second array here. So let. It could be const, but I'm gonna just have it let. Because arrays, const arrays doesn't matter. Let cars list. Cars to ship equals nothing. So this will be empty array. Oh no, we'll have in here these are the cars we'll be shipping. I'll put a space there because we're going to be adding cars. Hint, hint. And so we'll have a for loop here. So for let I equal 0, and then as long as I is less than cars.length, I++, and that should make sense. And so we'll test this out real quick by doing console.log here. Console.log cars there we go. Chevy, Ford, Toyota, Lamborghini, Ferrari. There we go. Maybe just from that. That probably is right there. There we go. So now we can print out cars. So what I want to do now is have a check here, basically. So let's see. We'll make another array here. So approved cars equals Ford and Toyota, and those will be our approved cars. But then non-approved cars equals Chevy. So we'll just kill the Chevy. And yeah. So I would advise that you pause the video here and try and do this on your own. So I'll explain to you what to do. So we'll have this for loop here that you've already made, hopefully, and then I want you to check and see check each car and say if it's on the approved cars list, then add it to the cars to ship list. And if it's on the non-approved cars list, then break it or destroy it, destroy everything. So yeah, so I hope that makes sense. So let's do that. So we could have our loop here. Uh, so so if cars I is equal to cars to ship I, oh no, approved cars. Let's see. I see what approved cars. How do we check and see if there's multiple? Like if there's multiple. Well, I'll keep this going. So we'll just do I also. No, we'll have 0. So this will be a perfect moment to use our AND statement, or no, OR. So OR 1. So I'm hoping that'll work. So if either of those work, I'm a little bit struggling here. I'm just checking. So console.log, yes. So we print out yes 2 times. So that's good. So if it, yeah, it worked. Okay, so it's checking all of these, and it's checking to see if any of the cars on here are approved. So it works. So that's good. Yeah, so we'll do that. And so each time we have an approved car, we'll add that car. So approved cars plus or equals approved cars plus cars I. So I'm hoping that freaking works. Console.log new list approved cars. Or no. Oh, right. Okay, I messed this up. Cars to ship. Cars to ship. And then this will be cars to ship. There we go. So new list, these are the cars we'll be shipping for Toyota. So as you can see, it's adding it on there each time. So that's good, that's progress. So let's add a space in here. That should help. So yeah, there's space every time. Kind of ugly, but we get the job done. So from there, we'll have a continue. Let's see. No. We'll have a continue there, but never mind. Yeah, so we'll do that. And so we're gonna need our other thingy here. So else if cars I equal to non-approved cars I, or 0 because there's only 1 in there, so then break. Yes, so console.log found the faulty car. So that should work. Found the faulty car. Chevy. Okay, Chevy was the first one, so that's why it's doing that. So for example's sake, we'll just move this to the back here. Okay, so yep. So it's checking through each one. Let's add a let's see, console.log. We'll have the cars. So this will print the cars that are not added to any of the list. So yeah, so here they are. These two right here. Okay, so it looks good to me. So this looks crazy already, I can see. But it's definitely better than pasting this like a million times, because that's what a for loop allows you to do, is repeat code easily. So so Ford and Toyota are the first ones on the list, and these are also the first ones on the approved car list. So yeah, so these are the first things that are going to be printed because they're both approved. So yeah, and then it'll move on to the next ones, which are Lamborghini and Ferrari, which are not on any of the approved or non-approved cars list. So it'll just print them out because, yeah, none of these are run because they're not on any of the list, right? So it'll just print this out here. And then we come out to the last one, which is Chevy. And Chevy is definitely a non-approved car on our list. So we're just going to break here. So I hope that made sense. It definitely hurts my brain and I definitely can't I can't talk, so yeah. Alright guys, so there's one more thing I want to show you or actually two more things I want to show you, but we're going to go back to the for each loop that we made before. So if we undo this here, so we're just going to rename this back to fruit so it doesn't hurt my brain as much. Remember, you don't have to have it named this, it's just a coincidence, so we can have this fruits actually. I'll just keep it like that. And so there's two more things, well there's actually way more than two more things we can do with the for each loop. But the main ones is the index. And if you pass in the index here, this will allow you to like look at the, remember for an array you have an index, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we gotta uncomment this by the way because we're using it. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Let's see, what's wrong? What's wrong? I don't understand. 55? Oh, wow, this thing right here. Okay, so yeah, it's going to do each of these now and display them. But we didn't use the index yet. We just passed it in. We didn't use it. So if we want to use it, we can do fruits. Let's see. Console.log index equals index. So if you use that here, add a plus there, of course. So index equals 0. So orange, the index of orange is 0. So if we look up here at an array, we see that it's actually 0 because it's 0 based, of course. Don't forget that. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So grape is going to be 4 as it's the last one. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And the last one is the array. And it's not the last one, like I said, there's more, but yeah. So array, so we can just, it's literally just the array that we're passing in. And the only way you would probably use this is if you're adding stuff each time, so you could just use it as like a check. So inside of this, maybe you have like a if condition or whatever it's called, if statement, and so yeah, it's just displaying the array every time. So yeah, so that's cool, I guess. So let's comment this out. So the last thing is called a for in loop, and this is useful for objects. So if you want to loop through objects with a for loop, this will be useful. So const person equals, so let's make an object here. So name Cody, girlfriend, grape. My girlfriend is definitely a grape. Age 16. And yeah, so let's do something with this. So for now we pass in a thingy here. So let x in person, I believe, right? Yeah. So you pass in let x in person, with person being the object here. And then you have this here. So console.log. So for console.log x, we can see that x is the key. That's what it's called, the key. It's a key value pair, so key value, key value, key value. So that's what it is. So it passes in the key. And yeah, so remember whenever you're trying to get a object, right? And you want to get the value of something inside the object, we can do person, which is the object. And then we pass in or like that dot x, or no, dot what's it called, dot name, and that returns the value, right? So if we like look down here, it has name dot name Cody, so that's what that is. So yeah, so what I'm trying to show you here is that if we use this with this, basically we can do the same thing. I don't know if you're reading me here on this, but if we do let's have a thing here. So we'll have x is equal to and then have, what's it called, person.x. For some reason, I don't really know why exactly, but you have to use it as like an array kind of pair. So yeah, so that's how I use it each time. So yeah, I don't think it works like that as long as I name. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. But I guess instead of a for loop, you have to use it as if it's an array. So it's not a big deal really, but yeah, so that's how you use a for in loop. I've never used this in my life, but I can see some use for this maybe. This is pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't like it, too bad. Leave a like anyway, and peace.